The grand opening of the three new fast food restaurants, McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King, happened on July 1st, 2010. All three restaurants were getting built at the same time, same place, and with the same construction workers. But there was one problem. There was a rivalry between McDonald's and Burger King. Back then, in their early childhood, they were friends and not famous. They wanted to be famous, open a restaurant, and have the best recipes ever. Ronald McDonald was just using Burger King. Finally, they came up with a good recipe, but Ronald McDonald just stole it from Burger King. When Ronald left, he slammed the door and some ingredients fell into a pot. When Burger King tasted it, he knew it was the perfect recipe. So now, finally, they opened their fast food restaurants. So let's see who will win the fight. Burger King was going to McDonald's, and Ronald McDonald saw Burger King. So he ran and got him and locked him in the freezer. So Burger King was trying to find a way out. He first tried to go through the wall. Also, at the moment, Ronald McDonald was going to Burger King's fast food restaurant to get his secret recipe. He thought of a great idea. He was going to combine it with his recipe. He tried to steal it, but he failed. So he disguised himself and he said,
"Can I get an Angry Whopper?"
So they gave him one. He had a secret lab underground. He could put a piece of the Angry Whopper in a machine and it would tell him the recipe. So Burger King got out of the freezer and saw Ronald McDonald's footprint, and he knew Ronald was there. He also knew that, of course, he had gotten a hamburger, and he was going to get the secret recipe. Once Ronald got an Angry Whopper, he took it to his secret lab under McDonald's. Then Ronald took the Angry Whopper to a processor to get the recipe. Add it to his Big Mac to get the best recipe in the world. While Burger King got out of the freezer, Ronald went to a secret field where he would sell his new Angry Mac. While Ronald was out selling Angry Macs, Burger King was thinking of a plan. Burger King had already figured out his plan, but he needed one more person. The plan would begin while Ronald McDonald was at his restaurant on the 4th of July. Since Ronald McDonald was the only one there at his restaurant, Burger King was going to get a person. He said that while a person was ordering an Angry Mac, Burger King was going to sneak through the window and get his Angry Mac. Then he was going to throw burgers at Ronald McDonald until he was going to fall unconscious. So that was Burger King's plan, and he knew who he was going to get. The mystery person was Wendy. Ronald McDonald asked Wendy if she could help him, but she said no. Then he asked,
"Why?"
"Well, it all started a long time ago when we were kids. You didn't like me and let me play with your stuff. Every time I came to the playground, you would just leave. You hated me. The two very things that hurt me was when you embarrassed me and pushed me down."
Ronald McDonald said,
"What? Yes."
Wendy said,
"Remember you told me to go to the park? Then you came up and pushed me into the mud. Then a lot of people started throwing water balloons at me. Then nobody liked me because I was all muddy, and I remember."
Ronald McDonald said,
"Oh, well, yes, and I apologize. I am so sorry. Now can you help me?"
Wendy said,
"No, you are so selfish, Ronald. You just want everything for yourself. That's how you have always been."
So then Wendy went to Burger King, and she was going to order something to eat. Burger King was the cashier, so when Burger King saw Wendy coming to his restaurant, Burger King knew it was his chance to ask her. He said,
"Will you help me out to defeat Ronald McDonald?"
She said,
"Yes, because you have always been very nice to me. So how are we going to defeat Ronald?
Okay, here's the plan. Tomorrow you are going to sneak into McDonald's, order an Angry Mac while you are getting an Angry Mac. Then I'm going to throw burgers at Ronald McDonald so he will fall unconscious. So that's the plan.
Said Burger King.
So do we have a deal?
Wendy said.
Yes, we do.
It was July 4th, 2010. Burger King and Wendy were at Burger King's house drinking 100% apple juice.
Okay, so you know the plan, right?
Said Burger King.
Got it.
Said Wendy.
But you never know where Ronald could be. Do you, Burger King?
Said Wendy.
Nope.
Burger King said. So while Burger King and Wendy were talking, Ronald was outside with special headphones that could hear through walls.
What plan?
Ronald wondered. All of a sudden, there was a big crash by the road. It was a tree that fell on a car because of 50-mile-per-hour winds. Then Burger King and Wendy walked outside to check Burger King's car. Ronald had to hide quickly. Then Burger King and Wendy started up the car and started to leave. Ronald needed to get a car fast. Luckily, Burger King and Wendy drove past his house, so Ronald opened his garage, got into his car, and continued to follow Burger King and Wendy. Burger King and Wendy were speeding down the highway. Ronald was speeding to try to catch up to them. While Burger King and Wendy were in the car, they saw Ronald McDonald. Ronald said,
Oh no, they better not be in my restaurant.
Burger King told Wendy.
Okay, hold on. We are going in.
Burger King and Wendy drove into McDonald's. As soon as Ronald saw that, he sped up and stopped behind McDonald's and ran inside. Burger King and Wendy went in, and
Hello, my friends.
Ronald said.
Ah!
Wendy and Burger King said at the same time. So then Ronald McDonald was walking closer to Wendy and Burger King, saying,
Well, look who it is.
Burger King and Wendy looked at each other with surprise.
How did you get here?
Wendy asked.
Yeah, what she said.
Burger King said.
What are you doing in my restaurant?
Ronald yelled.
Oh, we didn't know. We just wanted to say hello to our old friend.
Burger King said. After Burger King said that, he went outside and got a bag full of Angry Whoppers. He called Wendy out and gave her some Whoppers, and the two went into McDonald's. When they went into McDonald's, Ronald noticed something was wrong. Ronald went back to the kitchen when he heard crash, bang. He came out to see what had happened. McDonald's got trashed.
But where are Burger King and Wendy?
He thought.
Ah!
Burger King and Wendy said.
Ambush!
He jumped through the door and back into the kitchen. Burger King and Wendy were throwing burgers at the door. Ronald had jumped through the window to escape the ambush. While Burger King and Wendy were wasting their burgers, Ronald was sneaking to another McDonald's quickly to get some of his own burgers. The good thing was that there was one right down the street. Once Ronald did that, he went back to McDonald's that Burger King and Wendy were at, went in and started pelting them with burgers. The two didn't know where the burgers were coming from until they saw him, under a table near the counter. They both started throwing burgers at him until he flipped the table he was under.
This is my house.
After a while, it got kind of boring, so Ronald just randomly threw a burger and it hit Burger King right in the legs. He fell and flipped 2 times. Luckily, he landed on his feet in the kitchen. Burger King had the upper hand because he could make as many burgers as he wanted. He also knew Ronald was going to run out of burgers soon, and then he would be vulnerable for a headshot. Ronald only had 10 burgers left. He was wasting them fast. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. He was out of burgers. Ronald had no choice, but the bad thing was he was not very strong, and he was exhausted from throwing all those burgers. But Burger King was just finishing the first batch of burgers he was making in the kitchen and handing half of them up to Wendy.
I surrender.
But Burger King and Wendy pelted him anyway. Ronald was knocked out. When he woke up, the police had him surrounded. He got put in handcuffs quicker than a cheetah can run.
Mr. Ronald, you have the right to remain silent.
You're going to the slammer.
The officer put him in his car and started to drive to the jail. The officer put Ronald in a jail cell, and Wendy and Burger King got the feeling that they were not going to see Ronald in a long time. 2 days later.
Order in the court. So Ronald, since this is your first offense, you only have 1 week of jail and community service.
So Ronald had an evil smile on his face.